we'll do the live thing first. Like, hey everybody, welcome back to the Bigmark podcast. It's me, your host, Bigmark. If it's your first time watching, welcome. If not, welcome back. Like I always say, if you ever want to reach out to the podcast, hit us up in the comments, in the DMs, on Instagram, on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Let us know if you wanted to hear about a topic or come on as a guest. Like I always said to anyone, almost anyone who's been a guest at this point, you know, I've kind of reached out to them, but they've also been like, hey, I'd love to come on, because I always get a little bit weird, but like, hey, I don't know if you want to come and talk for whatever, but if you want to come on, please let me know. If not, I'll let you know. Anyway, thank you for being here. This is the best way you can possibly support the podcast, listening, watching on YouTube or Spotify. Our videos are on there now if you wanted to watch there. Again, that's the best way you can support us. If you want to go another step further, please share with all your friends. You know, if you share with one friend, we can double the podcast overnight, the listenership, so to speak. And again, if you did want to really go that extra mile, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/thebigmarkpodcast, and just check out a couple of those different tiers there. That's how we keep the lights on, the two ones at least that are on me right now. So this is how we do it on the Bigmark podcast. Like I said before, if it is your first time, welcome. You know, we are always covering different topics from sports to psychedelics, as I always say. I always found that I wanted that to be a broad range. I imagine that is a broad range of different topics. And of course, as a musician myself, in my band Reckless Harbor, go check us out. Reckless Harbor with a W. Like no wrecks in the harbor. We're trying to do our thing. But like I said, as a musician, you know, I love talking about music, whether it comes to different artists and all these different things. And I mean, looking back on it, I almost was sure I covered this man, talked about, you know, the man before, but I'm sure it's just come up. Maybe it was in the Last Waltz podcast, something like that, but I hadn't dedicated an entire episode to him yet. And I guess I didn't feel like I wanted to be special, and I guess I waited for the right time, because we're going to be talking about Neil Young today. And, you know, I wanted to talk about him a little bit because I just got to see him in concert, this past Sunday, and August 17th or something like that, and 2025 if you're watching this in the distant future. And you know, Neil Young obviously is Neil Young. He's like, if you're a Canadian musician, you kind of know he's like a grandfather at this point. I mean, he's like, everyone knows who Neil Young is. He's like one of the quintessential Canadian musicians. He's absolutely phenomenal. I mean, obviously his career speaks for itself. I mean, it's kind of funny actually, you know, doing this podcast. I almost don't even want to talk too much about Neil Young, the man himself, and, you know, all of his amazing albums and all these different things. I mean, there's highlights, obviously. Harvest, amazing album. On the Beach, oh my God, fantastic. After the Gold Rush, Harvest Moon, all these amazing albums. And I can talk more and more about his career and his career with CSNY and all these different things, right? But I don't want to do that too much because, again, I was able to go and see him, but that's the most simplest way I can put it. And I'm going to go into it in a little bit. I don't want to. I'm on the Tarantino things a little bit. I'm giving you guys a little bit of a glimpse into the future, and we're going to wrap the story up. But I did want to talk about Neil Young, obviously, a little bit. Like I said, he's kind of the quintessential man, born November 12th, 1945. He's 79 years old now. He was born again. You know, if you've ever heard the song "Helpless," there's a song where he talks about being from a little town in North Ontario, and I mean, you know, he was born in Toronto, but again, he spent most of his time in I feel terrible. It's in the Kawartha Lakes. I feel terrible. I'm gonna mess up this pronunciation. This is why I feel like I'm stumbling over my words. But Omeme. Anyway, I'm sorry, cousins out there. I messed up the saying already, but that's the town in North Ontario, Kawartha Lakes. Beautiful area, actually hilarious. I was just up in there visiting my buddy Julian, who I could say was a guest on this podcast, but unfortunately we had to pull his episodes because he was trying to get a job and stuff, and he doesn't want to be caught up with any riffraff like me. Anyway, no, I'm just joking, but I think he was like trying to get a job at a bank or something. So, I guess they look through your shit or whatever had to happen. We couldn't have him on, but I was able to go up to his family's his in-laws place, which was up in Scotts Bush, which is in Douglas, Ontario, which is in the Ottawa Valley, so to speak. So it's not necessarily right in Kawartha Lakes, but again, that's that little town in North Ontario. And like I said, I'm sure I mentioned Neil Young in the podcast where I talked about the Last Waltz and stuff. But again, I don't want to do a disservice to this show, and not go into how incredible an experience was. It truly was. I mean, again, having Neil Young so close to every Canadian. I mean, I think one of the first songs my band ever played live, like the first time I was in my own band in high school, Qualic and the Unseen, shout out. We played Cortez the Killer, which is a phenomenal Neil Young song. I mean, it's not necessarily never been played, but it's a little bit longer, so it might not always be on the radio. But if you're a Neil Young fan, you know it, and it's from Zuma, and it's a really fucking cool song. Talks about Montezuma Cortez coming and wiping out the Cortez and the Mayans, basically, or whatever. I think it was the Mayans, anyway. But again, it's just like something where you hear songs all the time. He's just like so part of the Canadian experience, almost like if it's any Canada Day celebration, you're hearing Neil Young. People are playing Neil Young songs, and I'm lucky enough to have a connection through family. So my stepmom, her aunt married Neil Young's uncle, so she shares a bunch of cousins with Neil Young. So we actually got to go with the family. So Neil Young's half sister was there. One of his half sisters was actually performing, and the other half sister was in the crowd. And my parents knew, the drummer of Astrid's band, the opening act, which is, again, like I said, Neil Young's half sister. So the whole family's there. We met the cousins, Margot and Nat, and Margot and Margot's daughter Nat. And I had met Margot before at my step uncle, I guess. Yeah, step uncle's celebration of life. And we were actually, funny enough, at that we were starting to play Neil Young tunes. And again, just a wonderful part of the family from, all over Canada, but we were up in just north of Edmonton, St. Guido. And that's where I met them for the first time, but then met a few other people, Stephanie, and again, the rest of the family. So it was like, or a bunch of that wing, I should say. So again, it was really wonderful to meet everyone. And again, they were so gracious, and Neil, I guess there's no one else to thank but him, gave, the family hooked up the tickets, don't get me wrong, but we were gifted these tickets from the family, and it was just like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be awesome. Like, all right, they kind of said like, all right, just go to Will Call, there'll be tickets there. And we're like, okay, cool, this is gonna be fun. And my dad's like going, he's like, I bet it's gonna be VIP, I bet we're gonna get it lanyards, it's gonna be fucking, we're going in big time. And we're like, who knows, like, we're excited to go to the show, let's just put it that way. All of a sudden we get to Will Call, we get 4 lanyards technically, but each one of us gets a lanyard, the VIP, and we walk through the premium entrance, all this shit. And it was like the royal treatment. We were like 3rd row. So this is Budweiser stage. Budweiser stage used to be Molson Amphitheater in Toronto, if you know it by that. Maybe I'm showing my age, but it's outdoor amphitheater. But there's like a covered section, so we're in the covered section, 3 rows up from like the floor section. We're talking, we got fucking wristbands. Like, we had to go through the CNE, which was kind of wild because they made you pay a ticket to go through the C&E just to get over. They like refunded you when you got to the other side, like to go to the show, and showed your like concert tickets. But it was like super fucking. Anyway, you know what? I get it, but it's technically included in your ticket in that sense. So you could probably game it that like you went a little early, you know, got your ticket to the C&E, fucking ripped around, enjoy the C&E, ate food and wild shit, and then went in, got your refund, and got to the concert and tickety boo. That would have been kind of fun. But anyway, we get there, we get to our seats, we're like, this is phenomenal. We're sitting with the family, introducing, hello, nice to see you, blah blah blah, all this stuff, tremendous. And like the show starts, and Astrid's band was phenomenal, super cool. Anyway, a drummer my parents know was killer. Then there was this other opening band. It was kind of like, I forget his, like, he was like Reverend Lovejoy or something. Obviously not that, because that's from The Simpsons, but just this dude, Feel Good or Green Earth or some shit like that, because he was like, he wasn't saying Earth-alleluia or something like that. Same some trippy shit, but it was like he had backup singers, and they were like, it was like a gospel band, just to kind of get the crowd pumped up. It was very cool, and we were like, what the fuck is going on, to be truthfully honest. But it was kind of, it was cool nonetheless, and they kind of got everyone pumped, and then Neil comes out, and it's fucking cool. Like, I'm, you know, usually about the length of the floor plus a couple rows, so I'm like maybe 50 feet from him. So cool. I mean, he's 79 or whatever. No, what did I say? 70 something. 1970 something. Yeah, 79. It's 1979. And he was like still rocking, still killing it, and his band was really awesome because they were young. So it's like the Chrome Hearts. It wasn't Crazy Horse or anything, but his band is super awesome. He had this dude named Spooner Oldham, which is hilarious. His name should have been Spooner Old Man. But he was on organ, but he was part of the Muscle Shoals fucking rhythm section, man. Like, no fucking shit. Like, the real motherfucking deal up there. He was super old, kind of looked like Einstein, but he was fucking crushing it on the keys, like organ and shit. This dude named Anthony Logerfo probably, on the drums. He was phenomenal. Corey McCormick, who was the bass player, tremendous rhythm section. And Micah Nelson, like fucking Willie Nelson's son, and those guys were actually in Luca Nelson's band, and what are they called? POTR. Everywhere I saw is just like POTR, which is hilarious. Luca Nelson and Promise of the Real, super cool name, actually, kind of like Qualic and the Unseen. But those guys were like so a super tight band, but they're all young guys. Like literally, Micah Nelson's 35. He's like a year older than me. You know, they're young guys and just like fucking killing it and ripping. And I think that's kind of interesting. I mean, young guys in relation to Neil Young in the sense of, I feel like he's probably gets rejuvenated. I mean, he was always hanging with the boys. He's the godfather of grunge, right? You know, he was always involved with, you know, Pearl Jam and the grunge scene. And he was just like, I feel like I get it. Like, I feel like there's a rejuvenation when you're around younger people sometimes, especially when you're playing music. You get to have that energy, especially up on stage. And the show was just fantastic. It was just like hit after hit. You know, started with Cowgirl in the Sand, and it's kind of started with this jam first. And the band was heavy, man. Like, had such a low end. Like, the bass was sick. He had like cool fucking hollow body bass, kind of the Gretsch thing. And then this sick, like, kind of like, I think it might have even been a wall, but like this P bass kind of shaped thing with like crazy sparkles. Super fucking cool. Micah Nelson was sick on guitar. He was like ripping insane, like B bend, like crazy fucking country licks and shit. Like, it was fucking tremendous. And then the drummer, Anthony Logerfo, is just fucking killing it. Really tight, and just like that whole band together with Neil was really cool, and he was doing his cool like one string solos and shit, and just completely into it and completely killing it. Didn't play like, he played a couple like slow tunes. What was the one that he played that Andrea loved? It was like, he just brought out like this little ukulele, and it was like Tumbleweed or something like that. Anyway, super cool little tune, just like a little fun little jingling, kind of like, you know, him and just the microphone. And I thought it was cool. And at some points he was playing tunes where he had this like device, man. It was like this fucking, everyone had like the stage setup was cool, but everyone's mic was fucking kind of trippy. It was like this big, almost like industrial thing. It looked like something like H.R. Geiger might have fucking came up with, like when he was thinking about Alien and shit. Like it was kind of trippy. But Neil had this like contraption, all I can call it, but it was a mic stand with, he had a normal mic like in the mic stand position, and then branching off from the mic on the right hand side, on his right hand side, had like this cool microphone, or sorry, this cool harmonica setup with this like bar microphone almost behind it, like set up to like capture all the sound of the harmonica, really, especially when you're outside, pretty interesting. And then if he turned his head to his left, branching off to the left, had this microphone that went directly to like a little loudspeaker, like, you know, like the speaker that would be like in the playground being like, you know, please come to the office, Johnson, please come to the office, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, Principal Skinner wants to see you, whatever, that kind of little loudspeaker thing. So when he was doing his cool little like kind of protesty songs, he could just like sing into those cool microphone. But yeah, killing it. You know, he played Harvest Moon, which was beautiful. That was one of the little slower ones that I was just trying to think of. Cinnamon Girl, tremendous. The lighting was super fun. We were taking cool pictures. I finally figured out that you can just like swipe on your, you can like listen to me. You can figure out your exposure level on your phone and like completely cut it by point, like -2 or whatever it is, and lower the exposure rate. So it's really good for like a dark concert thing where there's bright light, so you don't get as much of that glare. So I kind of fucking, if you don't know that and you have an iPhone, I mean, maybe I'm way late to the game here, but you can fuck with the exposure and get like pretty cool fucking shots. Anyway, but yeah, Old Man was fucking an absolute standout for sure. And just being there and listening to those songs and singing along with, like, you know, fucking Neil Young again. Like I said, it's crazy. Was such a cool experience, let alone being there with the family and stuff. And yeah, super, like, again, basically, well, yeah, essentially once in a lifetime, absolutely once in a lifetime opportunity, because on top of all that, this beautiful little lanyard thing was able to actually get us in to backstage and meet Neil. And I mean, unfortunately, it was like, it took forever because they actually had to COVID swab us to get in, but like they were like taking people in that had their fucking badge and getting in there, but it took a while. So like by the time we got in, we couldn't really talk to Neil. Like I got to see him a little bit, and then right as he was leaving, one of the cousins grabs us and goes, "Hey," Stephanie goes, "Hey, we gotta go talk to Neil, like, before he goes." And she just grabs him. She's like, "Hey, these are the cousins. My Andrea and my dad like made this metal ornament thing that is on like one of Neil's like archives thing. He has like these archives that have like all different types of art and stuff, Canadian art and otherwise." And then introduces also, I got to shake his hand. I got to shake fucking Neil Young's hand, man. And it was like, I was so quick. I just said, you know, "Nice to meet you," kind of thing. And Daniel Lanois was there. I fucking was tripping out. I should have said, "Hey, remember me? I met you," because I got to meet Daniel Lanois. His brother Bob introduced me to him. And I should have fucking said something, but I clammed up. I don't know why. But I was looking forward to Neil. I was hoping that he was going to like sign this or something. But again, it was just such a pleasure, and it was really cool, man. He was like nice. He was engaged. He wasn't like, "Get the fuck out of here." Like, he had to go, don't get me wrong, because, you know, it was fucking getting late, like shit. But Daryl Hannah, his wife now, was there, and I didn't even notice her. But really cool. Micah Nelson was standing right there. I should have shook his hand, but I got to talk to Corey McCormick, the bass player, and I had to say, "Hey, man, like, great show. He played awesome." And super nice guy, you know, was talkative as much as possible. And I was like, you know, "Pleasure to meet you," kind of thing. "Thanks for the show." I got to meet Astrid, Neil Young's half sister. I got to meet my parents' friend Ray. Again, really, really fun time. Met the rest of the cousins, and it was just like such a fun experience. And looking back on something like that, like I said, these feelings of like you just have heard these songs forever. And in fact, it's kind of funny. I kind of have heard these songs forever in the sense of my own existence, because my parents actually, my mom was pregnant at a Neil Young show with me. When she was pregnant with me, she was at a Neil Young show. So when I was in utero, I was at a Neil Young show. Technically, I guess it depends on your definition of my existence, but I was at the show in my mother in her womb, and but listening to it, and obviously like you feel that shit if you're like, I don't know how many months I was. I should ask her, but how many months pregnant she was. But again, just an interesting kind of full circle feeling of being like, oh man, like you hear these songs a million times, right? And Like a Hurricane, and This Note's for You he played, and Keep on Rocking in the Free World. That's a fucking perfect example. Keep on Rocking in the Free World, which hilarious. My buddy's brother, which he probably had some form of ADHD as a child, let's be real, used to just fucking fly around, and the first thing he'd do when he come in the house, he'd just turn on and off all the fucking lights in the house. Actually at one of my buddy's games, I don't think I was actually on the team with him. No. Maybe I was. Anyway, whatever the fuck. One of the games is my buddy played a lot of basketball, and his brother was there watching him. And at one point, all the lights fucking go out in the gym, and his mom all you hear from everyone's going, oh, what the fuck? From the silence, the shocked silence, all of a sudden you hear his mom call out his name, and I won't mention it here if you know who it is, but if you know who it is, you know who it is. But again, she knew exactly who the fuck it was when it went down. But he used to run around just singing over and over, Keep on Rocking in the Free World. But it's just a song that's like, it's almost like, fuck, man. I've heard this song so many times. I just know it's like, it's not like it's like surprising me or anything. I mean, Pro Jam would cover it a lot and do like, they would like insert it into like Daughter, or like, when they do those kind of like cool, like little extended jam parts of songs. And, but other than that, again, you just heard Neil do it, but seeing him live do it, and the band was killing it, and they were in full swing, and it was rocking. The whole crowd was super into it. Like the crowd was like super attentive. I found, at least where we were sitting. I mean, fuck, probably wasn't cheap if you bought a ticket to that show. And, it was just like kind of one of these things where it's like, fuck, man, you get it. It's like, Jesus, this guy's been doing it for how many times do you think he's done Keep on Rocking in the Free World? He's still got it. He's still crushing it. It didn't seem like he was like, he had great energy, and, Neil's kind of one of these guys, he's like, gets really into it, but he's just like, goes up to, there was a pump organ that he went up and played at some point, and just like still puts on such a great show. Funny, kind of makes funny little comments and stuff. And, you've seen him in live shows, like when he played Massey Hall, I think in 71 or something like that. There's like a live concert that you can watch and listen to. And it's just it's so interesting. He's just like such an interesting guy and such an amazing lyricist. I mean, he's up there. They say he's, he was up there with Dylan and shit, man. Like he's fucking real deal. Like this was someone who was just like, fuck. And I think this is why I reacted the way, the way I am anyway. It was just like, this is someone who is maybe a genius, but like just someone who is so in tune and such a beautiful artist and so well known, so successful at it for being so good, because he kind of came from this era where it was like, really rewarded talent and effort. And, he had to move out to LA and do shit like that. He went for it from a little fucking town. I mean, he lived in Toronto for a bit, I'm sure, but it's an amazing thing and a fucking crazy thing that, in through marriage and in weird sections somehow connected close enough to him to have met him under those pretenses as well. Wasn't just like, yo, here's a fan. It was like, this is like, extended family or whatever. So will be forever grateful. I feel like I'm still in shock from it. It'll be something I'll never forget again. It was once in a lifetime thing. Who knows? Hopefully I get to see him again, but the man's getting older. And it's just an amazing show. So many hits, so many fucking memories and amazing feelings. I was so happy to be able to see it, with again, with family, right? So super lucky. But Neil, you're the man. Thank you for putting on a great show. And yeah, I'll never forget it. Thank you all for listening to this. I don't know, I feel like I can just keep rambling about the show because it's just phenomenal. So again, thank you to all the band members. Thank you all to the family that got us there. And yeah, that's it for today. We'll see you next week. Love y'all. Thanks for listening. Keep on rocking in the free world. And doot doot loot doot. Doot doot. Peace.